I definitely think like I'm in some sort of time loop thing or something because that went by super quick. I don't know about for y'all, but I didn't even like I didn't even like do what I normally do where I download like my highlight video and then post that to Twitter and Instagram. It just went by super quick. I was I'm going to be creating like a promo video thing for this thing I have coming up. And I was kind of putting together the like the idea and like the script and the things that I wanted to say for it. And like I looked over, I'm like, oh, I have like 10 minutes. Okay, so I went back to work on it. Then I look back, I'm like, oh, I have 30 seconds. And I totally didn't do any of the other stuff that I normally do. So wow. So that was yeah. So we're here now. So but good news is I think I kind of got the script done. It's gonna be like a quick promo video for this thing that's coming up in a couple of weeks. So maybe next week I will talk about it and I'll say what it is. But there's some stuff I want to work on and get it together. So all right. So welcome back. And yeah, let's get into it because I want to get back to this work. It's like the time just went by super quick. Like I have no clue besides doing that script thing what I did for like that 40 minutes. That just went by super quick. Wow. Wow. Okay. Well, I think I ate. Did I eat something? I don't remember. All right, let's just get into it. So I want to talk about something that I saw interesting. What's today? Like this past week. Yeah. And so let me share my screen. I came across this tweet that I thought was super interesting. Share my screen. I don't think I would need any audio, but I'm going to do it anyway. And so share that. Cool. Now, I came across this tweet on the 1st, February 1st, right? I even like reply like, hey, congrats. Okay. So I don't know how many people do any sort of like back end stuff. Like whenever I'm creating projects, inevitably I'm going to run into some back end things. So seeing this was kind of cool. So I do a lot of stuff in Node.js, right? Since I do a lot of JavaScript, I might as well do the back end in JavaScript pretty much. So I use Node.js. And sometimes in the back end, like I'm not only calling from like my database for get information, but I may call out to like another resource to get some information, right? And so a lot of times, like if I need to hit up another third-party API, or like for example, the site I made, find my next.space. Since I mentioned it, I'll type it up real quick. Hang on. Find my next.space. So the way that this works is that let's say so it helps find Twitter spaces, right? And so what I'm doing here, so let's say I'm looking up web because that's going to bring up a bunch of stuff. And I search that. What's happening is that on the back end, because I'm not doing the search request on the front end, I have a function in the server that will do the request for me because I don't want to have, because I think it involves like API keys and stuff, and I didn't want to have that exposed on the front end. So I'm making the call on the back end on the server. And so I needed to be able to fetch the data from the Twitter Spaces search API thing. And so I needed to be able to call. So normally, okay, so I'm gonna put this in the list of links that you can check out. Uh, so normally, like if you do it on the front end, there's the fetch API that you can use. And so what you actually do is you just say, it's not, of course, it's not going to actually tell me. Here we go. Let's see. An example. Let me get an actual example, code sample, something. They have a better, I think it's like using fetch API. Sorry, let me look for this real quick. I think it's like using example. No, what? Using fetch API. Yeah, there it is. You can tell I've been there before. All right. So, for example, in your front end, you can just say fetch. This is a GET request, and so you can say the endpoint that you're looking for, like the address of the place you're looking for, and you just get then the response, and you turn that into a JSON form because a lot of times it's just like the string, and then you get the data from that response at JSON. You get the data, and then you can console log the data. And if you wanted to like do a post, then you can actually set the method to be post. So it's still the same fetch, the URL. You can say the method is post. You can do get, post, put, delete, etc. You know what I'm saying? Like, and then if you want to do cores, all this stuff. So this is a more fleshed out example. And it's the same thing. So this is sending data. So you have to stringify the JSON, the information that you want to send. And yeah, cool. So all that, and then you see it returns a response to .json, and then that's what's the data here, and then you can console log data. So this whole thing simplified down for just a get is this, and so that's what I use inside like if I want to make anything from the client, from the front end, right? Because before you could use things, I think you could use jQuery, I think, to do it, and there's like a bunch of different other like libraries that you could use that could do that for you. There's one that was built in. Was it like HTTP something? But that one was kind of like a lot. There was a lot to it, like a lot of template and boilerplate stuff. Like there's a lot. So there was a bunch of different like libraries that kind of wrapped around that native one to make it a little bit easier. And then as time went on, they just put fetch into the browser, so it just understands that into JavaScript and stuff. So yeah, cool. So that came out of that. So that's cool. And now it's the similar thing happened with like that earlier example about making calls from your backend through Node to get fetched information from other places. So it was kind of like, again, there was a way of doing it, but it was kind of a lot. And so there were other other libraries, again, to be used on your server to help make that a little bit easier. So there was like Axios. I use node-fetch a lot for mine because it was similar to this, like this same syntax. So I figure if I'm doing it on the front end, then hey, I want something similar on the back end, so I don't have to do a lot of like switching. You know what I mean? Like trying like, oh wait, this was front end, no wait, this is back end kind of thing. So yeah, so that's what I did there. All right, but now just like with the front end, from this tweet from Mikhail, there's like a umlaut over the E, so I'm not sure how to say it. Zazo. They said, we did it. Fetch is coming to Node.js, which is kind of awesome. So let me save these links I just spoke about so you can check them out for yourself. So first was the this one here, using fetch. And then we had the tweet. Cool. And this was again on February 1st. And I was like pretty amazed. I was like, oh, that's nice. It's going to actually be built into Node. And so now, and I even said like, congrats. So the thing is, it will first be available behind a flag that's -- experimental - fetch. So that'll let Node know that you want to use fetch, right? And then they're hoping to have it by default in version 18.0.0. And right now, Node.js, I think, is on 16. Let me see here. Yeah. Okay. Well, so the LTS, the long-term service, I think that is. Oh, long-term support. That is on 16.13.12. So that's like this 0.2. So that's like the stable one. Like that's like nothing's going to happen with that one. But then if you want like the latest features, And that's where you're gonna have to go for the fetch one, 17.4.0. So this is the one you would need, and then you would put the flag dash experimental dash fetch to be able to use it. Cool. I'm not gonna do that right now. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm the type of person I like to make sure that it's in there and all the bugs have been worked out. So I'm gonna hold off, but that doesn't mean anybody else can't play with it. So again, so you can do that, but they're hoping to have it default by version 18, which should be pretty soon. So excited about that. Yeah, cool. Then I said, hey, congrats on February 1st. Because I saw it, I'm like, oh, this is great. Congrats. All right, so again, congrats on video form, and not just on Twitter. So then, so the actual pull, so you can see there's a screenshot, right? And it has the pull requests. So lib add fetch, and so that is this one here. And it kind of, this is the commit that kind of shows like everything that went into it. And so I'm going to add this link as well. Alrighty. So if you want to check it out, because what's cool, what's interesting is that if you go through here and kind of read all the different, and it's kind of cool to see like what goes behind the scenes of all these different like things that we use on the web. So this is like actual node that we use on the back end, or at least I use. I don't know what you do, but it's right. And so you can see they're adding fetch, and then they have headers and the request and the response. That's awesome. And you can also see that they're using a library that's already out now called Undici. Undici. It's Italian for 11. And so you can find that. Is it this one? I think I opened it up. So yeah, here it is. And let me well, since I have this open, I'm going to post this into the thing here as well, so you can check that out. Let me just. So this is the library that was like a third-party library, but I guess they liked it so much, and it's similar to what they wanted to do anyway, that they're going to take that library and put it into Node officially. And so that's pretty amazing. So as you can see here, so yeah, so it's an HTTP 1.1 client written from scratch for Node.js, so from the ground up. So that's pretty cool. So I guess that means it doesn't have like any dependencies, which is cool. So Undici means 11 in Italian. So 1.1, like 11, Undici. But it's also a Stranger Things reference. So I think there's a character by the name of Stranger Things. But in Stranger Things. I have not yet to watch that. I know. So then you have a question, you can do all that stuff. So if you want to kind of play with what's going to be coming, so I may do something like that where I'll install the library, and then try it out. And so I can maybe get used to the syntax. But so they kind of show, so like here's a quick start. So I'm thinking you probably just have to say like import requests from fetch, maybe. Because I don't know if they're going to keep the same name. But I think it might be fetch. So I'm not sure. But so you're able to like, remember that same like request? It might be just be fetch, I think. Just like how it was here. And then so like how they're awaiting fetch here. See, they're awaiting request. Basically the same thing. And from that, they're pulling out all these things. So like the status code, did it come back 404 or 200? Like it was a cool. The headers on there. I'm not sure what trailers are, but I guess if you have headers and then trailers, I guess makes sense. And then like the body, like the information and everything. And then you can see response received, the headers. And then they're doing this. Normally you could do like body.json and they'll show that, but they're awaiting it. And then that's getting the data. Much like how, oh, no, that's not what I was looking for here. Much like how they have the response.json here. So it's the same like the body from the response, right? And then whatever trailers are. I have to look that up. But then you can do the body mixin from the standard, from the fetch standard, which I did not know that was a mixin, like the body.json. So that's pretty cool. So yeah, so then you can get the data that way. What else? And then again, trailers. I have no clue what trailers are. I'm gonna have to look that up. And yeah, so that's the whole thing. So now you'd be able to do all that within Node itself without having to rely on third-party uh, libraries. So that way you don't have to worry about like compatibility, because if the library isn't get updated anymore, because remember a lot of these things are like open source, and you kind of relying on people to have the time to be able to keep things up. And so yeah, so at least with this, it will be built into Node.js. And it's cool that all these other libraries kind of like, I think, helped shape, like, hey, we should have this within Node. And so like there was like a big demand for it. And so that's pretty cool. And yeah, so that's that one. What was this? Oh, that's just Node.js. And then I added that, right? No, I did not add the Node.js website. So if you want to check it out for yourself, maybe check it out to see when 18 is out and then it's actually in there. But I just kind of wanted to talk about like these are things that are coming, which is pretty cool. All right. And then if you want like a better explanation, like in video format, shouts to Fireship. They did a whole thing on it on the 4th. So just like a couple of days ago. So big new feature lands in Node.js. And there's like a few other things as far as like readable streams and stuff, but I don't do a lot of that. And so maybe if I dive deeper into it, I'll do that, because yeah, that stuff is like above me right now. You know what I mean? I just want to be able to make calls to other places in the back end for right now. Like I kind of did some like readable stream stuff like with files and things, and now it's just like, now I'm good. I'm cool. So, but yeah, there's that. So shouts to Fireship, always doing really good stuff. And someone put a link to that video also in the list of links. That'll be next to the recorded video. All right, so I think that's going to be it. Yeah, so and my computer is going wild. All right, so overtime as usual, but I wanted to talk about this because I think it's super cool, and it's kind of awesome. So shouts to the whole team for making it happen, and looking forward to checking it out. Like I said, I may, so I can get start to get the like the syntax kind of working. I may try out Undici. I probably said that wrong again, but yeah, but I want to see how the syntax is going to be. Are they going to keep fetch? Because Undici didn't use fetch, so I don't know. So I'm sure there's probably like information somewhere, and you can see people are super excited about it, which is always cool to see. And so yeah, so then this person's like, would appreciate some clarifying. Why is this significant? What advantage does this provide over using Axios, one of the libraries that were previously being used? And then so this person is like, well, library is just a tool, and I guess this beat tool, oh wait, this something best tool now comes out of Node.js box. You can use whatever you want, but most of the times fetch is more than enough. So yeah, so there may be other like edge cases, because like I said, fetch is kind of like a simplification of like a more complex thing. And so Axios or some of the other ones may do things that fetch may not be able to do. You know what I mean? And so at least coming out of the box. So you kind of have to know your use case. So if there's a thing that you're using like Axios specifically for, because it's like a thing that's kind of like difficult, and Axios is making it easier, I guess check to see if the built-in fetch does it. If not, then you can continue using Axios because that'll still work. So that's what's cool about the web. You know what I mean? So yeah, and like I said, for me, it is just making calls to other like endpoints, other servers, and talking to them. So far, I've only really had to use Node fetch. You know what I mean? So yeah. And so like this person's like bye Node fetch and Axios. And then I'm not familiar with fetch, but don't they have different feature sets, especially looking at Axios? And then this person saying like, yeah, I think Axios has a lot more functionality, but when you just want to make a simple HTTP request in Node, it's not ideal that you have to install a third-party dependency. And like, yeah, that makes sense. I don't see axios and other going anywhere then. Exactly. So it's all they're just all tools. So you have to know what you're doing with the tools. So and know what you want to work from the tools. And so yeah. Sure. And then so then you have other people who whatchamacallit, have it's cool. Like the internet is always like discussions about stuff. So that's pretty cool. So like this person's kind of like, no, I don't really want it in there. And there's like a discussion happening. So that's pretty cool. As long as there's no like disrespect, And so then, of course there's gotta be like a meme. So node fetch. I do feel kind of bad like node fetch, but maybe that frees up the maintainer of node fetch. You know what I'm saying? Because like the people who work on node fetch be like, okay, woo, now we don't have to worry about this anymore. You know what I mean? They can move on to other things possibly or what have you. You know what I mean? So I don't know, but I think it's cool that it's going to be in, and they can always like contribute to fetch. That's going to be in Node.js as well. They just don't have to have like it all on their shoulders, to maintain the library. So yeah, I think I don't know if it was me and I had like node fetch and like a bunch of people like relied on it, and I'd have to keep up with like any other changes in the ecosystem, then make sure I did it, but I had to make sure that it didn't break previous ones and all these things. Like that would be a lot of stress. So shouts to everybody that does like open source maintenance and things. You all are awesome. You know what I mean? And so yeah, because just the stuff I do at work and things, like there's a little stuff I do. I'm like, yo, I could not imagine if like tons and tons of people were using it. You know what I mean? Just my little web component thing and people were using it. I was like, oh man, what if I break this thing? Or just all sorts of stress. So y'all are the heroes. I mean, so shout outs to y'all. Okay, now I blabbered on long enough because I want to get back to this work. Sorry, but this is super cool. And I just wanted to get that out there. All right, so going to get y'all back to work because I know I want stuff to get done. So I'm going to send y'all with this traveling music. This is Nujabez, whose birthday is February 7th, along with Jay Dilla. So yeah, so it's cool that we're playing this track. And it's featuring a Pawnee B, and it's called Thank You. All right, so again, thanks for hanging out. See y'all 15 minutes after the hour. Let's get this work in. All right, thanks y'all. See you later. Cool. All right, here we go. Nujabez featuring a Pawnee B. The track is called Thank You. I'm not sure what happened, but I'm going to be out of here. So thanks, y'all.
Let me start from the heart. I just want to stay. I thank you all for showing love to me. I appreciate this unique opportunity. I'm going to rock so hard you never stop supporting me. I'm going to show you how music is more meaning to life. I thank you all for showing love to me. I appreciate this unique opportunity. I'm going to rock so hard you never stop supporting me. I'm going to show you how music is more meaning to life. But let me start from the heart. I just want to stay. I thank you all for showing love to me. I appreciate this unique opportunity. I'm gonna rock so hard you never stop supporting me. I'm gonna show you how music is more meaning to life. I thank you all for showing love to me. I appreciate this unique opportunity. I'm gonna rock so hard you never stop supporting me. I'm gonna show you how music is more meaning to life. But let me start from the heart. I just want to stay. I thank you all for showing love to me. I appreciate this unique opportunity. I'm gonna rock so hard you never stop supporting me. I'm gonna show you how music is more meaning to life. I thank you all for showing love to me. I appreciate this unique opportunity. I'm gonna rock so hard you never stop supporting me. I'm gonna show you how music is more meaning to life. But let me start from the heart. I just want to stay. I thank you all for showing love to me. I appreciate this unique opportunity. I'm gonna rock so hard you never stop supporting me. I'm gonna